saw what was coming. He knew the danger. He knew the stories. Yet when no one else would, he opened his gate, and everything changed. Obed-Edom, the man who risked everything.
What would you risk for the presence of God? Not the comfortable, sanitized presence you sing about on Sunday mornings. The kind that just killed a man for touching it wrong. The kind that turns cities into graveyards. The kind that terrified an entire nation for generations. Would you invite that into your home? Into your bedroom? Would you let it sit in your living room while your children played nearby? Most people would slam the door, lock the deadbolt, pretend they weren't home. And honestly, you couldn't blame them. But one man didn't. His name was Obed-Edom. And what happened over the next 3 months would challenge everything you think you know about who can host the glory of God. This isn't a story about priests in golden robes or prophets with special anointing. This is about an ordinary farmer, weathered hands, calloused feet, a man who worked the soil for a living, and his front door became the threshold between terror and blessing, between a nation's fear and a nation's future. Here's what I want you to do right now. Type 3 in the comments. Just the number 3. Because 3 months is how long the Ark of the Covenant stayed in this man's house. 3 months that changed everything. 3 months that could change everything for you. 2. If you'll listen to what this story has to say. Listen, I need you engaged in this conversation. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on those notifications and share this with someone who needs to hear that God's presence isn't just for the professionals. It's for people like Obed-Edom, people like us. Now let me take you back, way back. To understand why what happens next matters so much, you need to feel the weight of the Ark's journey, the centuries of glory and disaster, the trail of bodies it left behind. Because by the time it reaches Obed-Edom's door, this isn't just a religious object. It's become the most dangerous thing in Israel. Picture Mount Sinai, smoke billowing, thunder crashing, the whole mountain shaking like it's about to split apart. Moses climbs through the clouds into the presence of God, and God gives him instructions, detailed, specific instructions for a box. Not just any box, the throne of God on earth. Build me an ark, God says, acacia wood, overlaid with pure gold, 4 feet long, 2.5 feet wide and high. Put rings on the corners, poles through the rings so it can be carried but never touched. And on top, fashion 2 cherubim, angels of gold, wings stretched forward, facing each other. And between those wings, that's where I'll dwell. That's where I'll meet with you. Inside this box, place 3 objects. The stone tablets with the 10 Commandments, written by God's own finger in fire. A golden jar of manna, the bread from heaven that sustained Israel for 40 years in the wilderness. And Aaron's rod that budded, the dead stick that miraculously sprouted life, proving God's choice of the priesthood. Law, provision, priesthood. Past, present, future, all contained in one box. This wasn't decoration. This wasn't religious furniture. This was the throne of the living God, the place where heaven touched earth, the spot where God's glory dwelt among his people. The ark led Israel through the Jordan River on dry ground. When the priests carrying it stepped into the floodwaters, the river backed up for miles. The entire nation crossed on dry land. Because where God's presence goes, nature obeys. The ark circled Jericho for 7 days. Then the walls fell flat, not inward, not outward, straight down into the ground. Because where God's presence goes, obstacles crumble. The ark represented everything that made Israel, Israel, their identity as the people chosen by the living God, the nation set apart, the ones who carried heaven's presence through the wilderness of this world. But by the time we get to our story, the ark has become a footnote, a relic gathering dust in some private house in an obscure town. How did that happen? That's a story worth telling, because it sets the stage for everything that follows. Rewind a generation. The high priest is a man named Eli, old, nearly blind, good heart, but weak spine. And his 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are priests who've turned the house of God into their personal playground. They don't just serve at the altar, they steal from it. When Israelites bring sacrifices, the priests are supposed to take their portion after the fat is burned for God. But Hophni and Phinehas send servants with three-pronged forks to stab into the boiling pot and grab whatever they want before God gets his share. It's theft from God at his own altar. And it gets worse. They sleep with women who serve at the entrance to the tent of meeting, right there, at the door of God's house, treating sacred space like it's a brothel. Eli knows. Everyone knows. But Eli won't stop them. He's afraid of his own sons. He rebukes them weakly, but never follows through. Never removes them from office. Never enforces any consequences. So God sends a prophet, a man whose name we don't even know. And he delivers a message that makes Eli's blood run cold. Your sons have made themselves contemptible, and you haven't restrained them. I'm going to judge your house. The priesthood will be torn from your family line. Both your sons will die on the same day, and it's going to happen soon. Then comes the war. Israel versus the Philistines. Israel marches out confident and gets crushed. 4,000 men dead in a single day. The elders gather in stunned grief. Why did the Lord let us be defeated? What went wrong? And someone, we don't know who, has what seems like a brilliant idea. Let's bring the ark from Shiloh. If the ark is with us, God will have to save us. He can't let his own throne be captured. Do you hear the theology beneath that plan? They're treating the ark like a good luck charm, like a weapon they can deploy, like God is a genie in a box who has to grant their wishes if they rub it the right way. They send messengers to Shiloh. Bring the ark. And who arrives with it? Hophni and Phinehas, the corrupt priests, the sons God has already condemned to die. When the ark rolls into the Israelite camp, a shout goes up, so loud the Philistines hear it from their camp and tremble. Their gods have come into the camp, they cry. The gods who struck Egypt, who parted seas, who brought down wall. Fear ripples through the Philistine army. For a moment, they consider retreating. Then a commander stands up. His voice cuts through the panic. Be strong, Philistines. Be men, or you'll become slaves to the Hebrews as they've been to you. Be men and fight. And they do. The battle is a massacre. 30,000 Israelite soldiers die. The army breaks and runs. And in the chaos, the unthinkable happens. The Philistines capture the Ark of God. Hophni and Phinehas die defending it. Just like the prophet said, both sons. Same day. A messenger runs to Shiloh, finds old Eli sitting by the gate, waiting for news. When he hears that the ark has been captured, Eli falls backward off his seat, breaks his neck, dies instantly. On that same day, Phinehas's wife goes into labor. She names her newborn son Ichabod. It means the glory has departed. Then she dies too. The glory has departed. Those words hang over Israel like a funeral shroud. The Philistines think they've won the ultimate prize. They bring the ark to Ashdod, one of their 5 major cities, set it in the temple of Dagon as a trophy. Dagon, their fish god, the deity of grain and sea. Look, they proclaim, our God has defeated their God. Set the box right beside Dagon's statue, a smug display of victory. Next morning, the priests come to perform their rituals and freeze. Dagon's statue has fallen on its face before the ark. The god has prostrated itself before Israel's God. The priests whisper nervously. Must have been an earthquake. They set the statue back up. Try to laugh it off. Next morning, Dagon has fallen again. But this time, it's worse. His head is severed. His hands broken off at the threshold. The fish god of the Philistines lies decapitated, dismembered, before the throne of Israel's God. From that day on, Philistine priests won't step on the threshold of Dagon's temple. They leap over it, because that's where their God lost his hands. But the judgment isn't finished. Tumors break out across Ashdod. Painful, humiliating tumors in people's private areas. The whole city struck at once. And rats, thousands of them, everywhere, crawling through homes, swarming the streets, spreading disease. People start dying. The survivors cry out, "Send the ark away. The God of Israel is judging us." So they move it to Gath, another of their 5 cities. Same story. Tumors, terror, rats, death. They move it to Ekron. The people see it coming down the road and panic. Are you trying to kill us all? Send it back to Israel. We don't want this thing here. For 7 months, the ark decimates Philistia, city after city, plague after plague. The Philistines are desperate. Finally, their priests and diviners gather. We have to send this back. But how do we do it without being destroyed ourselves? They devise a test, a way to know for sure whether Israel's God is real or whether all this has just been coincidence. Bad luck. Natural disaster. Build a new cart, they say. Hitch it to 2 milk cows that have never been yoked. Cows with newborn calves back home. Put the ark on the cart. Add guilt offerings, gold tumors, and gold rats. Then let the cows go. Don't guide them. Just watch. If the cows head straight toward Israelite territory, abandoning their calves against every natural instinct, then we'll know Israel's God is real and has been judging us. If the cows wander aimlessly, looking for their calves, it's all been coincidence. Nature, bad luck. They set it up, release the cows, and the cows head straight up the road toward Beth Shemesh, lowing as they go, grieving for their calves, but walking steadily toward Israel, never turning left or right. The Philistine lords follow at a distance, watching, terrified. The cart crosses into Israelite territory, rolls into Beth Shemesh. The people are harvesting wheat when they see it coming. Someone shouts, "The ark! The ark is back!" Joy explodes. People running, shouting, weeping. God has returned. After 7 months in enemy hands, the presence of the Lord has come home. They break up the cart for firewood, sacrifice the cows as a burnt offering. Celebration everywhere, dancing, singing. After 7 months of shame and fear, hope has returned. But then, curiosity gets the better of some men, 70 men to be exact. They approach the ark, lift the covering, just to peek inside, just to see the sacred objects they've heard about all their lives. The tablets, the manna, Aaron's rod. And God strikes them dead, all 70. Dropped instantly. The music stops. The dancing stops. The joy turns to horror in a heartbeat. Who can stand before this holy God, they cry. Who can survive his presence? Where can the ark go now? We can't keep it here. It'll kill us all. They send messengers to Kiriath Jearim, a town about 10 miles away, up in the hills. We have the ark, the messengers say. Will you come get it? Will you take it off our hands? A man named Abinadab agrees. Levite family, qualified by lineage. They come down with a proper cart, carry the ark up to Kiriath Jearim, set it in Abinadab's house, consecrate his son Eleazar to guard it, and there it sits for 20 years in a private home, in an obscure town, gathering dust, forgotten. Think about that. The throne of God, the mercy seat, the place where heaven touches earth, sitting in someone's spare room for 2 decades, while Israel fights wars, crowns king, builds cities. The ark sits, neglected, ignored, a relic of better days. Now jump forward. David is king. He's captured Jerusalem, made it his capital, defeated the Philistines, united the tribes, secured the borders, and he decides it's time to bring the ark home, not to some backwater village, to Jerusalem, the city of the great king, where it belongs. David gathers 30,000 men, the best soldiers, the strongest warriors, musicians, dancers. This won't just be a religious procession. This will be a celebration like Israel has never seen. A victory parade, the glory returning to its rightful place. They place the ark on a new cart, just like the Philistines did when they sent it back. Seems logical, right? Worked for them, should work for us. Uzzah and Ahio, sons of Abinadab, who's been guarding the ark all these years, guide the cart. They know the ark, grew up with it sitting in their house. If anyone's qualified, it's them. Music everywhere. Tambourines, harps, lyres, cymbals. David himself dancing before the Lord with all his might, leading the celebration. Joy radiating from his face. They're bringing God home. Finally, After 20 years in exile, the presence of the Lord is returning to the center of Israel's life. Then the oxen stumble, a misstep, a hole in the road. The cart lurches, the ark tips, and Uzzah, without thinking, reaches out to steady it. His hand touches the gold, just for a second, an instinctive reaction, a protective gesture. Surely God understands. Surely this isn't irreverence. He's trying to help. Uzzah dies instantly, drops dead beside the ark. The music stops. The dancing stops. 30,000 men freeze, staring at Uzzah's body, at the ark that just became a weapon again. David's joy turns to fear, then to anger. How can I ever bring the ark to Jerusalem? He cries. God just killed one of us, right here, in the middle of our celebration. What do I do with this? He makes a decision on the spot. The ark can't stay on the road, but it can't come to Jerusalem. Not now. Not until we understand what happened. It needs to go somewhere temporary. Someone mentions a Levite family lives nearby. Gittite clan. Man named Obed-Edom. Find him, David says. Ask if he'll take the ark. Temporarily. Just until we figure this out. 3 months. That's what Uzzah's irreverent touch just cost David. 3 months of waiting. 3 months of fear. But for Obed-Edom, those same 3 months will mean something completely different. The procession has stopped. 30,000 men, silent, staring at Uzzah's body, at the ark, sitting on that cart, covered in gold, gleaming in the sunlight, beautiful, deadly. David's officials ask around, "Where's this Obed-Edom? Who is he?" "Just a farmer," someone says. "Lives over that ridge. Levite by blood, but works the fields like everyone else. Not a priest, not a prophet, just a man with a family and a small plot of land." The officials find him. Simple house, stone walls, courtyard with a few olive trees, chickens scratching in the dirt, a donkey braying in a pen. Obed-Edom comes to the gate. Weathered face, honest eyes, hands that know the feel of a plow. The king's messenger doesn't waste words. "We need your house. The Ark of the Covenant requires a place to stay, temporarily. You're a Levite, qualified by lineage." The king asks, "Will you host the presence of the Lord?" Obed-Edom's wife appears behind. She's heard. Her face goes white. "That thing that just killed Uzzah? You want to bring it here? Near our children? In our home?" The messenger continues. "It's just for 3 months, maybe less, until the king figures out how to bring it to Jerusalem properly. You'll be compensated, of course." Word spreads. Neighbors gathering, pressing close to hear. Everyone's talking at once. An old woman pushes through the crowd, her voice sharp. "Obed-Edom, don't be a fool. That thing kills people. Send it somewhere else. You'll get your whole family killed." Another voice. "David himself is afraid of it. The king won't touch it. What makes you think you're qualified?" Obed-Edom's oldest son grabs his father's arm, his voice urgent, whispered, but desperate. "Father, think about this." Uzzah was qualified. He grew up with the ark in his house, his whole life. And one touch killed him. What chance do we have for 3 months? His wife's fingers dig into his shoulder. He can feel her shaking, breathing too fast, terror in her eyes. The other children have come out now, standing in the doorway, confused, scared, picking up on their parents' fear. The crowd is getting louder, half yelling warnings, half backing away like they don't even want to be near the messenger who brought this request. "Don't do it," someone shouts. "It's a death sentence. Remember Beth Shemesh." Another voice. 70 men, dead for looking inside. "And you want to live with it for 3 months? The Philistines couldn't handle it for 7 months, someone else adds. Cities full of plagues and rats and death. You think you'll do better?" Obed-Edom stands there, the noise washing over him, his wife trembling beside him, his son pleading with him, the crowd shouting warnings, the messenger waiting for an answer. And he looks at the ark, still draped, still sitting on that cart where Uzzah died, 20 paces from his gate. The thing that's killed dozens, that's destroyed cities, that terrified an entire nation for generations. But he thinks about his lineage, Levite blood running through his veins. His ancestors carried this ark through the wilderness, marched it around Jericho, carried it across the Jordan on their shoulders. This is his heritage, his calling. the purpose his family was set apart for. He thinks about the law, the rules God gave for approaching the ark. Don't touch it. Carry it on pole. Approach with reverence. The instructions are clear, specific, not complicated, just ignored. Uzzah died not because the ark is dangerous to everyone, but because he was irreverent, casual, familiar. He treated the holy like it was common, like it needed his help. And the men of Beth Shemesh, they died because curiosity overrode reverence, because they lifted the covering like tourists peeking into a museum display. The ark isn't the problem. Irreverence is the problem. Obed-Edom takes a deep breath, looks at his wife. She's searching his face, terrified, but also trusting. She knows him. Knows he won't do this unless he believes God will protect them. I won't touch it, he says quietly. Just to her, I won't be casual with it. I won't treat God's presence like a curiosity or a tool, but I won't refuse it either. If God's presence needs a home, and he's chosen us, how can I say no? She stares at him a long moment. Then, so faint he almost misses it, she nods. Permission, trust. Fear mixed with faith. Obed-Edom turns to the messenger. His voice is steady, louder now, so everyone can hear. Bring it in. The crowd erupts. What are you doing? You're insane. You'll kill your family. But Obed-Edom doesn't respond. He opens the gate wide and stands beside it. The Levites lift the poles. The ark rises off the cart. They carry it toward the gate, slowly, carefully. Poles on their shoulders, never touching the gold. Obed-Edom watches it come, his heart hammering. Hands steady, even though every instinct screams to slam the gate, to run. The ark passes through, into his courtyard, his home. The thing that killed Uzzah is now part of his household. The Levites set it down in the corner, farthest from where the children sleep. They drape it carefully, then back away, quickly. The messenger touches Obed-Edom's shoulder. May the Lord bless you for this, he says. Then he's gone, following the Levites, the official, back to wherever David has made camp. The neighbors linger, staring through the gate, like they're looking at a dead man. Some angry, some pitying, some just curious to see how long he'll survive, or judge us. Someone muttered. We'll see what happens. Obed-Edom closes the gate, turns around. And there it is, sitting in his courtyard, covered in linen, gold gleaming through the weave. The throne of God in his house. His children huddle behind their mother, the youngest crying softly, the oldest pale and silent. His wife looks at him. What have we done? He doesn't answer, because he doesn't know. All he knows is that God's presence is here. And for the next 3 months, their home has become the most dangerous and the most sacred place in all of Israel. Day 1. Obed-Edom wakes before dawn, can't sleep. Too aware of what's sitting in his courtyard. He lies there in the dark, listening to his wife breathing beside him, his children sleeping in the next room, the ark just beyond the wall. He gets up, washes, prays. Then, while everyone else is still asleep, he goes to the courtyard. The ark sits in the corner, still covered, silent, but somehow not empty. Like there's a presence pressing against the linen, something watchful, alive. Obed-Edom doesn't approach too close, doesn't touch. He kneels about 10 feet away and begins to pray the psalms his father taught him, the ones the Levites sang when they carried the ark through the wilderness. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord of hosts. My soul longs, yes, faints, for the courts of the Lord. Blessed are those who dwell in your house, ever singing your praise. His voice is quiet, reverent, a whisper in the early morning stillness. When he finishes, he sits, just being present, not demanding anything, not trying to manipulate, just welcoming, acknowledging, this is your house now too, he prays silently. We're honored to have you here. He hears footsteps behind him, his wife. She's come out, cautious, curious. She kneels beside him, says nothing, but her presence is a statement. We're in this together. Then the children, one by one, peeking around the doorway, scared but curious. The youngest runs to his mother, buries his face in her robe, but the older ones inch closer, staring at the covered ark. They pray together, father leading, wife and children echoing, a family hosting the presence of God. That becomes their rhythm. Every morning, before the work of the day, before anything else, they gather in the courtyard, keep their distance, but they pray. They worship. They welcome. Week 1. The olive tree in the corner, the one that's been struggling for 3 years, producing hardly any fruit. It bursts with new growth overnight. Literally. Obed-Edom wakes up one morning, and the branches are thick with leaves, covered with buds, healthier than it's been in a decade. He stares at it, touches the leaves. They're real. Solid. Not a dream. His wife notices the goats. 3 of them gave birth yesterday. All of them had twins. Healthy, strong, unusual. Goats sometimes have twins, sure, but all 3? At once? After years of single births? Week 2. The cistern. The one that's been running low for months. They've been rationing water, praying for rain, and overnight, it fills completely. Obed-Edom climbs down to check, expecting maybe a little seepage from an underground spring, but the water level is right to the top, and the water is clear, clean, cold. He can't explain it. There hasn't been rain. The neighbors' cisterns are still low, just his. Right beside where the ark sits. Week 3. The field. Obed-Edom plants barley. Normal timing, normal technique. But within days, shoots appear, green and thick, growing at a pace he's never seen. By week's end, the barley is knee-high. Should take a month to reach that height. Not a week. The neighbors notice. At first, they avoid his house, give it wide berth. Like standing too close might bring judgment. But now, they're watching, staring, whispering among themselves. How is his field already that tall? It's been 3 weeks. Look at his olive tree. Wasn't that thing dying last month? And I heard all his goats had twins. All of them. Month 1. Everything Obed-Edom touches prospers. His wheat is the tallest in the region. His barley twice as thick as his neighbors. His figs are coming in early and heavy. His olives are the size of plums. The elderly woman who cursed him at the gate, the one who warned him he'd kill his family. She stands at the fence one afternoon, staring at his field. Finally, she calls out, voice reluctant, but honest. I was wrong. You're not cursed. You're blessed. More people start coming. At first, just to look, standing at the fence, pointing, discussing. Then they start asking questions. How's your family? Everyone healthy? No one sick? No tumors or plagues? Obed-Edom invites them in, lets them see. Yes, we're all fine. Better than fine. The children are thriving. My wife hasn't been this healthy in years. Come see for yourself. Month 2. An elderly man from the village. His grandson is sick. Fever that won't break. He's been sick for days. The family is desperate, and someone tells him about Obed-Edom, about the blessing on his house. He comes to the gate, hesitant, embarrassed. Could you pray? He asks. By the ark? I know I don't have a right to ask, but my grandson is dying. Obed-Edom doesn't hesitate, brings the man in. They kneel together near the ark, pray together. The old man's voice breaking, pleading with God for his grandson's life. The next day, the fever breaks. The boy sits up, asks for food. Within a week, he's running around like nothing happened. Word spreads. More people come, not to touch the ark, not even to see it really, but to pray near it, to ask the man who welcomed God's presence to pray with them, to intercede. A woman with a chronic illness, a farmer whose crops are failing, a young couple struggling to have children. They come. Hesitant, hopeful. And Obed-Edom prays with them. Not all of them are healed. Not everyone gets the answer they wanted, but something shifts. People start to realize the ark isn't a curse. God's presence isn't something to fear. It's something to welcome with reverence, yes, with awe, but not with terror. Month 3. Obed-Edom's household is the talk of the region. His flocks have multiplied beyond explanation. Every ewe that gives birth has twins. His storehouses are overflowing, grain piled to the ceiling, oil jars full, wine vats brimming. But it's not just material blessing. There's a peace in his home, a joy that doesn't make sense given the circumstances. The children laugh, play, no nightmares, no fear. They've grown up with God's presence in their courtyard, and it's shaped them, made them confident, grateful, reverent. His wife pulls him aside one evening. She's been watching him, noticing the change. "You're different," she says, "softer, more patient, more present. It's not just the crops or the flocks. You've changed." He knows she's right. 3 months of waking up every day with the conscious awareness that God's presence is in his house. 3 months of treating every word, every decision, every moment as happening in the sight of God. It changes you. The neighbors who mocked him at the beginning, the ones who said he was insane, they're not mocking anymore. Some are asking questions. How do you do it? How do you live with that? Aren't you afraid? And Obed-Edom explains, it's not about not being afraid. It's about choosing reverence over fear. It's about welcoming God's presence instead of managing it. It's about opening the door all the way instead of keeping it cracked. Even the elder who was most vocal in his opposition, he shows up at the gate one morning, doesn't say much, just stands there. Then finally, "I owe you an apology. I was wrong. About you. About this. You showed us something I didn't think was possible. That ordinary people can host the presence of God." News reaches Jerusalem, reaches David, multiple reports, all saying the same thing. The Lord has blessed Obed-Edom's household because of the ark. Everything he owns is thriving. His crops, his flocks, his family. Even his neighbors are being blessed just by proximity. David's heart lifts. For 3 months, he's been wrestling with fear, with questions. What did I do wrong? Why did God strike Uzzah? How can I ever bring the ark to Jerusalem if it's this dangerous? But now he understands. God isn't angry. The ark isn't a curse. The problem wasn't the ark. It was how we approached. Uzzah treated it casually. We put it on a cart like cargo, instead of carrying it with reverence like God commanded. We were so focused on celebration that we forgot holiness. David calls his officials together. We're bringing the ark to Jerusalem, but this time we're doing it right. No cart. Levites carry it on poles, the way God commanded. And every 6 steps, we stop and sacrifice. We're not rushing. We're not casual. This is holy. This is reverent. But it's also joyful because God's presence is a blessing, not a curse. He gathers another procession, not as big as the first, more focused, more intentional. Musicians, dancers, priests in proper garments, Levites consecrated for the task. Everything done according to the law. They march to Obed-Edom's house, the king himself at the front. When they reach the gate, David pauses, sends a messenger ahead. "Tell Obed-Edom I'm here. Tell him I want to talk before we take the ark." Obed-Edom comes out, sees the king standing at his gate, drops to one knee. "My lord." David reaches down, pulls him up. "Don't kneel. You've done what I was too afraid to do. You welcomed God's presence when I turned away in fear. You showed all of Israel that ordinary people can host the glory of God. Stand up. You've earned the right to stand before a king." Obed-Edom rises, uncertain, honored, confused. David continues, "I've heard the reports. Everything about how God has blessed your household, your crop, your family, your neighbor. And I realize now, God wasn't punishing us. He was teaching us. Reverence and joy aren't opposites. They go together. You've shown us how." He gestures to the procession behind him. "We're here to bring the ark to Jerusalem, the right way this time, with honor, with reverence, with joy. And I want you and your sons to come, not just for today, for always. When we build a permanent temple, I want your family to be doorkeepers, gatekeepers, all of you. This is your calling now. Not just farming, hosting God's presence, teaching others how to welcome him." Obed-Edom's voice breaks. "My lord, I'm just a farmer from Gath. I work the soil. I'm not a priest. I'm not trained. David smiles. You're the man who opened the door when I was too afraid to. You kept it open when everyone else wanted to slam it shut. You welcomed God with reverent joy, while the rest of us were paralyzed by fear. That's not just a gatekeeper. That's a priest, the kind God uses. Not the kind who knows all the rituals, but the kind who knows how to welcome his presence. The Levites enter the courtyard, approach the ark, lifted on the poles, just like God commanded. No touching, just carrying. They begin the journey to Jerusalem, but every 6 steps, they stop, sacrifice, pray, worship, not rushing, not casual, holy, reverent, but also joyful. David himself dancing again, but this time with understanding, with awe mixed with joy. This is what it means to welcome God's presence, not terror, not casualness, reverent joy. Obed-Edom watches them go. His house feels empty now, the corner where the ark sat for 3 months. Just stone and dirt, but something lingers, a sense of presence, a memory of glory. His home will never be the same. Neither will he, neither will his family. They've tasted what it means to host God's presence, and they'll spend the rest of their lives teaching others how to do the same. But here's what this story really means. 3,000 years later, why does it still matter? Because Obed-Edom is a picture, a shadow, an echo of something greater. The ark represented God's presence, the place where heaven touched earth. Deadly to approach wrongly, life-giving to approach rightly. You couldn't have it both ways. Either you welcomed it with reverent joy, or you died trying to manage it. But that ark was just a symbol, a box overlaid with gold, a piece of furniture, a throne for an invisible God, a shadow. Now fast forward. The real presence comes, not in a box, in flesh. God himself walking dusty roads, touching lepers, eating with sinners, speaking truth with authority. And his name is Jesus. Same pattern, same danger, same blessing. Casual with him? Judas found out what happens. Using him for your own agenda? The Pharisees found out. Welcoming him with reverent joy? The thief on the cross found out. Mary Magdalene found out. Peter found out. Transformation. Life. Blessing beyond measure. The ark stayed with Obed-Edom 3 months. Jesus stayed on earth 33 years, teaching, healing, revealing the Father. Then he died, rose, ascended, sent his Spirit. And now, listen to this. Now he doesn't visit for 3 months. He dwells forever. Paul writes it plain. Don't you know that you are God's temple? That God's Spirit dwells in you. Your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. You are Obed-Edom's house, your body, your life, the place where God's presence wants to dwell, not visit. Dwell permanently. The question Obed-Edom faced is the same question you face. Will you open the door? Will you welcome God's presence into every room of your life? Or will you keep certain doors locked, certain areas off limits? A lot of Christians treat God like a house guest. Welcome in the living room, fine in the kitchen, but don't go upstairs. Don't open that closet. Don't ask about that relationship. Don't look in that bank account. Stay in your designated areas. That's not hosting. That's managing. And you can't manage God's presence. You can only welcome it or refuse it. Obed-Edom opened every door, and the blessing didn't just touch his fields. It transformed his household, his children, his neighbors, his future, everything. So let me ask you 3 questions, and I want you to be honest, not with me, with yourself, with God. Question 1. Are you treating God's presence with touching irreverence or distance irreverence? Touching irreverence is what killed Uzzah. Too casual, too familiar, treating the holy like it's common. That's one kind of irreverence. You see it, everywhere. Christians who talk about God like he's their buddy, who approach worship like it's entertainment, who treat prayer like a vending machine, who assume God's grace means they can sin casually and he'll just shrug it off. That's dangerous. That's the kind of irreverence that gets people killed. Maybe not physically, but spiritually. You can't play games with God's presence. But there's another kind of irreverence, distance irreverence. And honestly, this is more common among good Christians than the first kind. Distance irreverence is keeping God at arm's length while pretending to honor him. It's showing up on Sunday, singing the songs, nodding during the sermon, putting money in the offering, but never actually welcoming God's presence into the messy parts of your life. You keep him in the designated religious areas, church, Bible study, morning devotions. But your workplace? That's separate. Your finances? That's practical. Your relationships? That's private. Your entertainment? That's personal. Your pain? That's too raw. You honor God with your lips, but your heart is far from him. That's distance irreverence. And it's just as deadly as touching irreverence, because you never experience the transformation that comes from actually hosting his presence. Obed-Edom avoided both. He didn't touch the ark, but he also didn't keep it at a distance. He welcomed it, made room for it, let it transform his household. That's the balance. Reverent joy, holy intimacy, approaching God with awe, but not with terror, with familiarity, but not with casualness. Question 2. What door are you keeping closed? You know what I'm talking about. That area of your life where you've decided God doesn't get access. That relationship, that habit, that ambition, that wound, that secret. Maybe it's your finances. You tithe. You're generous. But the idea of actually letting God direct your financial decisions, of asking him before every major purchase, of trusting him enough to give sacrificially, even when it doesn't make sense, that door is locked. Maybe it's your career. You pray for success. You pray for favor. But the idea of actually asking God if this is where he wants you, of being willing to leave if he calls you somewhere else, that door is closed. Maybe it's your relationships. You pray for your spouse, your kid, your friend, but letting God actually transform how you relate to them? Letting him expose your selfishness, your manipulation, your control. That's too uncomfortable. Maybe it's your pain, the wound you've been protecting for years, the grief you've buried, the trauma you've never processed. You bring God your victories, your successes, but your pain? That stays locked away. Maybe it's your secrets, the parts of your life you've hidden from everyone, the addiction, the shame, the sin you keep committing. You want God's blessing, but you don't want his light in those dark corners. Obed-Edom opened every door. He had to. You can't host the presence of God in your courtyard and keep rooms locked. His presence fills everything, transforms everything, exposes everything, blesses everything. And here's the thing. The blessing didn't come in spite of opening every door. It came because he opened every door. The transformation happened in the places he was willing to let God touch. Question 3. Are you willing to risk 3 months? Here's what I'm asking. I'm challenging you. Right now. Mark today's date. Pull out your phone. Open your notes app, calendar, whatever. Type today's date, because I'm challenging you to 3 months. Same as Obed-Edom. 3 months of actually welcoming God's presence everywhere. Not just church, not just morning devotions. Everywhere. 3 months of praying in your car on the way to work, at your desk, in your kitchen, in your bedroom. Inviting God into every conversation, every decision, every moment. 3 months of opening those closed doors, one by one. This week, finances. I'm opening that door, God. Come in. Show me what needs to change. Next week, relationships. Come in. Expose my selfishness. Transform how I love. The week after, career. Come in. I'll go wherever you send me. Keep going. Week by week, door by door, room by room, until every part of your life has the door wide open, until there's nowhere in your life where God's presence isn't welcome. Will it be comfortable? No. Obed-Edom's neighbors thought he was insane. Your friends might too. Your family might not understand. People will question your decisions. Will it be safe? Depends what you mean by safe. It's safe from God's absence. It's not safe from transformation. God's presence doesn't just bless. It transforms. It changes. It exposes. It purifies. That's not always comfortable, but it's always good. Will it cost you? Yes, it cost Obed-Edom his privacy, his comfortable life, his reputation for being sensible. But look what he gained. 3 months of supernatural blessing, a calling that lasted generations. His family became doorkeepers in God's temple. His name is remembered 3,000 years later. But more than that, he gained what every human soul was created for, the presence of God, communion with the Creator, transformation into the image of Christ. That's worth more than comfort, more than safety, more than reputation. 3 months from now, I believe you're going to look back at this moment, at the day you wrote down the date, at the day you decided to open every door. And you're going to see how God transformed your life, your relationships, your work, your heart, everything. Type 3 in the comments one more time. 3 months. 3 months that changed Obed-Edom. 3 months that could change you. Let's pray. Father, I confess I've been guilty of both kinds of irreverence. Sometimes I've been too casual with you, treating your presence like it's common, forgetting the holiness, the majesty, the terror and wonder of who you are. But more often, I'm guilty of distant irreverence, keeping you at arm's length, honoring you with my lips, while keeping you out of the real parts of my life, the messy parts, the broken parts, the parts I'm ashamed of. Today, I'm choosing something different. I'm opening the door all the way, not just cracking it, not just letting you into certain rooms, all the way. Like Obed-Edom, I'm saying yes. Come in. You're welcome here. You're welcome everywhere. You're welcome in my finances. Show me where I've made money, my God, where I've trusted my bank account more than you. Teach me generosity. Teach me trust. Take over my checkbook, my budget, all of it. You're welcome in my relationships. Show me where I've valued comfort over truth, where I've manipulated instead of loved, where I've controlled instead of served. Transform how I relate to my spouse, my kids, my friends, my coworkers, all of it. You're welcome in my career. If you want me somewhere else, I'll go. If you want me to stay, I'll serve. But I'm done making these decisions without you. This is yours now. My ambition, my plans, my resume, all of it. You're welcome in my pain, the wounds I've protected for years, the grief I've buried, the trauma I've never processed, the anger I've nursed. Come in. I'm done hiding. I'm done pretending. Transform it. Redeem it. Use it. All of it. You're welcome in my secrets, the addiction I've hidden, the shame I've carried, the sin I keep committing. No more. I'm bringing it into the light. I'm asking for help, for healing, for deliverance. Come in. All of it. You're welcome in my dreams, the hopes I've been afraid to admit, the callings I've ignored because they're too big or too scary or too impractical. Come in. If they're from you, I'll pursue them. If they're not, I'll let them go. But I'm done hiding my dreams from you, all of it. You're welcome in my fears, the anxieties I wake up with, the worries that keep me up at night, the terror that paralyzes me. Come in. Replace fear with faith, anxiety with peace, terror with trust, all of it. I don't know what the next 3 months will look like. I don't know what transformation will cost, but I'm trusting you to be as good to me as you were to Obed-Edom. Not necessarily with material blessing, but with your presence, with transformation, with the kind of joy and peace that only come when I stop managing you and start hosting you. Teach me what Obed-Edom learned, that your presence is my greatest treasure, that one day in your courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere, that I would rather be a doorkeeper in your house than have all the wealth and power in the world without you. Forgive my irreverence, both kinds. The touching kind that treats you casually, the distance kind that keeps you locked out. Make my heart your home. Transform my life into a testimony. And let whatever you do in me over the next 3 months be so undeniable that others will ask what happened to me, so I can point them straight to you. In Jesus' name. Amen. Type 3 in the comments right now. Mark today's date. Write it down. 3 months. 3 months of transformation. 3 months that changed everything for Obed-Edom. 3 months that could change everything for you. And here's what I want you to do. Share this message right now. Don't wait. Share it with someone who needs to hear that God's presence isn't something to fear. It's something to welcome with reverent joy. Hit that like button. It helps this message reach more people. People who are paralyzed by fear of God. People who've kept him at arm's length for years. People who need to hear that ordinary people can host the glory of God. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications, because we're going to keep telling these stories. Stories of ordinary people who said yes to an extraordinary God and watched him do impossible things. Don't keep this to yourself. Obed-Edom's blessing didn't stay contained in his household. It overflowed to his neighbors, to his community, eventually to all Israel. Your story could do the same. Someone in your circle needs to hear that transformation is possible, that God's presence is available, that the door is theirs to open. You know who it is. That friend, that family member, that coworker. Text them the link posted. Share it. Because Obed-Edom was just a farmer. Weathered hands, simple faith, not educated, not trained, not special, just willing. But when he opened his door to the presence of God, he became part of a story that's still being told 3,000 years later. Your story could be next. The God who blessed Obed-Edom for 3 months is the same God who sent Jesus to dwell with us forever. The presence that transformed one household in ancient Israel can transform your life today. All it takes is opening the door. So open it, welcome him in, and watch what he does.